In this video, we will be revising what you need to know in decimals. Let's go. Find the value of the underlying digit. Here we have 13.2 or 13.2 tenths. And the question asks us to find the value. They didn't ask for place value. The value of this 2 is 2 tenths. If they asked for place value, then the place value would be tenths. Again, what's the place value in B? This is 27.3 or 27.3 tenths. The value is 3 tenths. If they asked for the place value, again, it would have been tenths, but they never asked for the place value. Write the following in expanded notation. So this is 24.2 or 24.2 tenths. If you're having difficulties reading your decimal numbers and you're referring to this 2 as hundredths or you're mixing things up, put your finger and block off the number, block off from the point and after. So all you would see now is 24, and you would not make mistakes expanding that. Yeah. So this is 24. So this is tens and this is ones. If I have to expand this, the 2 would be multiplied by 10, plus the 4 would be multiplied by 1, plus the 2 in the tenths place would be multiplied by 1/10. It will not be multiplied by 2 tenths. Because if I have 2 times 1/10, that will give me 2 tenths. But if you put 2 times 2 tenths, that value will be 4 tenths. So it will be wrong. So remember that. If I have to expand 35.4 or 35 and 4 tenths, it's going to be 3 is in the tens place. The 5 is in the ones place. And the 4 that is in the tenths place is multiplied by 1/10. They want us to write the numeral for the following. We can read this. This is 429.6. So the 4 has to be in the hundredths place, 2 in the tens, 9 in the ones, 0.6. So another way we can expand, let's go back up here for a moment. Another way we could expand the decimal place, you see we have 1/10. We can write 1/10 as a decimal 0.1. So this here, 2 times 10 could be also expanded as 2 times 0.1. That is 1/10 as a decimal, the 1 in the tenths place. B, we have 531.4. That's what the question wanted. Question 4 wants us to change the following fractions to decimals. Let us read the fractions we have here. This is 3 tenths. How do I write 3 tenths? Tenths is the first place after the decimal point. So after the decimal point, I need to put 3 in the tenths place. I write a 0. I have no whole numbers, so I write a 0 before it as a placeholder. So it's a 0.3. I have 93 over 100. I have 93 hundredths. How do I write 93 hundredths? 0.93. I have no whole number, so I write 0 as a placeholder. Here I have 4 and 6 tenths. I have 4 wholes, so a whole number is before decimal point. 6 tenths, the 6 has to be in the tenths place, 4.6. I have 14 and 7 tenths. The 14 is the whole number. 7 has to be in the tenths place, which is the first place after the decimal point. How do I change decimals to fractions? Let us read this. This is 0.2, or this is 2 tenths. The 2 is in the tenths place. So this is 2 tenths. How do I write 0.9 as a fraction? This is 0.9 or 9 tenths. The 9 is in the tenths place. So this can be written as 9/10. How do I write 27.3 as a fraction? This is 27.3 or 27 and 3/10. The 3 is in the tens place. 27 is our whole number, and the 3 is in the tens place. That is 3/10. This is 65.9. 65 is our whole number, and 9 is in the tens place. What is the value of the underlying digits? Read the number. This is not 100, or this is not 1,000. Put your finger, put your hand and block off from the point and after, and you would see that this is 12. So if I want the value of this one is in what place? It's in the tens place, so the value of this one is 10. This is 68.89. What is the value of the 8? The 8 is in the ones place, so the value of the 8 is 8. The question wants us to expand 26.34 or 26 and 34 hundredths. This is 26. So the 2 is in the tens place. The 6 is in the ones place. The 3 is in the tens place. And remember, we can write this 1/10 as also 0.1. Either or, not both. And the 4 is in the hundredths place. It will be 4 by 100ths, or 100ths as a decimal. But the 1 has to be in the hundredths place, 0.01. If I expand the next one, this is 65.69. This is 65.69 or 65 and 69 hundredths. So the 6 is in the tens place. The 5 is in the ones place. The 6 is in the tens place, so we can multiply by 1/10 or 0.1, plus the 9 is in the hundredths place. We can multiply by 100 or 0.01. Write the numeral for the following. This is 4 in the hundredths place, 6 in the tens, 7 in the ones, 2 in the tenths, and 3 in the hundredths place. So this is 467.23. This is 7 in the hundredths, 5 in the tens, 3 in the ones, 6 in the tenths, 4 in the hundredths. This is 753.64. Change the following to decimals. You have 2 hundredths. Where is the hundredths place? It is the second place after the decimal point. So I have to put 0 here and make sure my 2 is in the second place after the decimal point. 12 hundredths is going to be 0.12. How do I change these to fractions? This is 0.10 or 0.10 hundredths. 10 hundredths. This is 1.75 or 1 and 75 hundredths. 1 and 75 hundredths. And once we change anything to a fraction, our answers must be in its reduced form. So let's reduce this. 10 into 10 is 1, and 10 into 100 is 10. We can use 25 to go into 75 and 100. 25, write back my whole number. 25 into 75 is 3, and 25 into 100 is 4, 1 3/4. Change the following to decimals. To change any fraction to a decimal, we divide denominator into numerator. There is also another method that I explained prior to this, and you can check out that video as well. When changing fractions to decimals, if you have denominators like 25 to 10. To change any fraction to a decimal, it will be easy if we have denominators of 10, 100, or 1,000. There are some denominators that we can find the equivalent fraction with denominators of 10, 100, and 1,000. So when we have a denominator like 25, 2, or we have a denominator like 20, or 5, or 4, or 50, when we have these type of denominators, we can find the equivalent fraction, because if we can multiply 25 by 4 to get a denominator of 100, we'll have to multiply the numerator as well. We can multiply 2 by 5 and the numerator by 5. We can multiply 20 by 5 and whatever numerator this fraction may have by 5. We can multiply 5 by 2, as well as its numerator. We can multiply 4 by 25. Including the numerator, we can multiply 50 by 2. So there are some fractions, it's going to be easy to change the to decimals because of the denominator. So I will demonstrate that with these two fractions, and then I will show you the other method as well. So if I want to convert 125 to a decimal, I know I can multiply this fraction by 4. And I will get a denominator of 100. And I will get 4 hundredths. And 4 hundredths, the 4 simply needs to be in the hundredths place. So I am getting 0.04. I have a half. I know I can multiply this fraction by 5 to get a denominator of 10. 5 tenths can simply be written as this, the 5 in the tenths place. But if you don't know this shortcut, or you haven't learned this technique yet, you need to know, whether you know it or not, to change any fraction to a decimal, we can divide. And we divide denominator into numerator. So it's going to be 25 into 1 and then 2 into 1. Let's do it one at a time. 25 into 1 is 0. We put a decimal point and we add a 0. 25 into 10 is 0. We already have our decimal point, so we add another 0. 25 into 100 is 4. So we are still getting 0.04. The next one is a half. We are dividing denominator into numerator, 2 into 1. 2 into 1 is 0. We put a decimal point and add a 0. 2 into 10 is 5. We are still getting 0.5. Approximate to the nearest whole. This number is 6.3. The whole number is 6. When we are approximating, rounding off, estimating the nearest whole, we'll underline the whole and look at the digit on the right, which is in the tens place, to see if it is less than 5 or 5 and greater. Here it is less than 5. Here it is less than 5. So we leave our whole number as it is. So 6.3 to the nearest whole is 6. Here we have 70.63. We are rounding off to the nearest whole. The whole number here is 70. If we look at the digit on the right, we will see that it is 5 and greater. So we add 1 and we will get 71. Here we are rounding off to the nearest tenths. Underline the tenths digit. Look at the digit on the right to see if it is less than 5 or 5 and greater. Here it's 5 and greater, so we add 1 to the tenths. So to the nearest tenths is going to be 8.5. Again, I'm rounding off to the nearest tenths. I underline my tenths digit. Look at the digit on the right to see if it is less than 5 or 5 and greater. It is less. So my tenths digit will stay the same. So it's going to be 34. I have no reason to touch the whole number. 34.5. Here we have to round off to the nearest hundredths. Underline the hundredths digit. Underline the hundredths digit. It is the second digit after the decimal point. Look at the digit on the right to see if it is less than 5 or 5 and greater. And here it is 5 and greater, so we add 1 to the hundredths digit. No reason to touch 9, no reason to touch 5, and our hundredths digit becomes 5. All the other digits on the right becomes 0. So whether you have 9.550 or 9.55, your answer is going to be correct. If I'm rounding off to the nearest Hundredths. Underline my hundredths digit. Look at the digit on the right to see if it's less than or 5 and greater. It's 5 and greater, so you'll have to add 1 to the hundredths digit. So it's going to be 7.35. Change here the numbers on the right to 0. Question 17 wants us to round off as indicated. So here we have 21.469 thousandths, 21.469. They want us to round off to the nearest hundredths. We underline the hundredths digit. Look at the digit on the right to see if it's 5 and greater. It is. So we would add 1 to the hundredths digit. No reason to touch 21.4. Our hundredths digit becomes a 7, and the numbers on the right we change to 0. Here we are rounding off the nearest tenths. That's a 7 here. Look at the digit on the right to see if it's less than 5 or 5 and greater, it's less. So our answer will remain as 23.7. Arranging decimals in ascending order. Ascending order is from the smallest to the biggest. So if I'm going from the smallest, it's going to be 0.1, then 0.2, then 0.3. If I'm going from the smallest, it's going to be 2.4, 2.7, and 2.9. If I have to arrange in descending order, from the biggest to the smallest, it's going to be 4.85, 4.51, and 4.30. Take a good look at B. You have 3.5, 0.34, 5.67, and 1.43. Before you arrange, do you notice that the others has 2 decimal places and this one has 1? You want to make sure this one also has 2 decimal places. So we write it as, or add in a 0 as a placeholder. Sometimes when you have multiple numbers like that, you do the same thing. You want all to have the same decimal places. So in this case, we add 0. So if we are going from the biggest, in most cases, if you don't do that, you'll make errors and get the question wrong. So the biggest is going to be 5.67. Then it's going to be 3.5. Then it's going to be 1.43. And then it's going to be 0.34. Question 20, adding decimals. How do we find the total? You have to ensure that your decimal points are lined up. 2.42 plus 4.53. And we add 596. So we got 6.95. Then the next one, make sure your decimal points are lining up. We're getting 16, 12, and 1 is 13. So our answer for the second one is 13.65. Subtracting decimals, we have 9 wholes, take away 3.6. Again, make sure your points are lined up. 9 whole. Remember, your whole number comes before the decimal point. The point will be after. 3.6. And before you subtract, you put a 0 as a placeholder. And now you need to subtract, and we need to regroup. 10 take away 6 is 4. 8 take away 3 is 5. The answer is 5.4. The next one, you make sure your decimal points are lined up. 3.46, take away 1.34. 6 take away 4 is 2. 4 take away 3 is 1. You're getting 2.12. Find the product of the following. When we are multiplying decimals, one of the easiest things we can do, this is a simple number. So yes, you can write 7.5 times 7 and make sure you have your point lined up here. And that's fine. Another technique that you can use is to check the decimal places you have multiplied the number without the point, and then put back the point after your answer. How do you know how much decimal places a number has? To know how much decimal places a number has, you simply check the digits after the point. So in this number, I only have one digit after the point. So that means in this sum, I have one decimal place, one DP I'm writing for short. So now I would write the number 75 by 7 and multiply like if my point doesn't exist. 7 5s are 35, 7 7s are 49, 50, 51, 52. When we get our answer, it should have one decimal place. We start from the end of the number and we come in here. So our answer is going to be 52.5. The same technique here, you want to multiply 0.34 and 0.09. So it's going to be confusing if you write it like this. To multiply, it's going to be less confusing if you check your decimal places, multiply the number, like if the point doesn't exist, and put it back after. How many decimal places do we have in this sum? We have 2 decimal places here and another 2 decimal places here. So for this sum, we have a total of 4 DP, 4 decimal places. So we are going to write the sum like if that point does not exist. We have 34 and we have 9. 9 4s are 36, 9 3s are 27, 28, 29, 30. And then we have 4 decimal places. 1, 2, 3. I have to add a 0 to put in my next one, 4. So answer is 0.0306. Put 0 here as a placeholder. Multiplying decimals again, but we are multiplying by 10, 100, and 1,000. Once we are multiplying by 10, 100, and 1,000, all we have to do is shift our decimal point to the right. I'm multiplying 3.64 by 1,000, so I'll shift my decimal point 3 times to the right. 1, 2, I have to add a 0. So my point is now after the number. So my new number is 3,640. If I have to multiply 5.6 by 100, I simply shift my decimal point 2 times to the right. I shifted once, I need to add 0. Again, the decimal point is after the number, so my new number is 560. 9.3 multiplied by 10. I shift my decimal point once to the right. The point is now after my number, so the answer is 93. So again, when you're multiplying by 10, 100, and 1,000, it's easy to multiply any number by it. You shift your decimal point to the right according to the zeros. So 10, you shift it once to the right. 100, twice to the right. 1,000, 3 times to the right. And when you are dividing, instead of going to the right, we go to the left. So if I have 43 and I am dividing by 1,000, I would go 3 times to the left. Now in the number 43, where is the decimal point understood to be? The decimal point is understood to be at the end of every whole number, whether you are seeing it or not, it exists. I want to divide by 1,000, I would shift my decimal point to the left 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So I am getting 0.043 and put a 0 here as a placeholder. I want to multiply 386.3 by 100. I would shift my decimal point 2 times to the left. It's now going to be between 3 and 8. 48.5 divided by 10. I shift my decimal point once to the left. So I'm now getting 4.85. So when I'm dividing by 10, 100, and 1,000, I shift my decimal point to the left. 10 once to the left, 100 2 times to the left, 1,000 3 times to the left. And one more thing, where is the decimal point understood to be in a whole number? It is understood to be after the whole number. Dividing decimals. This time we are not dividing by 10, 100, or 1,000. We have 62.5 divided by 5. When we are dividing decimals, it is important to note that there cannot be any decimal point in our divisors. If there are decimal points in our divisors, we need to shift them. Now, in these three examples, there are no decimal points in the divisors, so we will divide. There are only decimal points in the dividends. So in the dividend, there are only decimal points in the dividends. It's going to be 5 into 62. 5 into 6 is 1. 5 ones are 5. 5 into 12 is 2. 5 twos are 10. With a remainder of 2. I can put a decimal point, add a 0, and bring it down. 5 into 20 is 4. 5 fours are 20. So 62.0 divided by 5 is 12.4. Let's do a next one. This one, we don't have a decimal point in the divisor, so we can divide. 9 into 0.27. 9 into 0 is 0. 9 into 2 is 0. Then 9 into 27 is 3. 9 threes are 27. So our answer is 0.03. 7 divided by 5. 5 into 7 is 0. Put a 0. 5 into 70. Into 7 is 1. 5 ones are 5. I'll remember 2. Put a point. Add a 0. Bring it down. 5 into 20 is 4. 5 fours are 20. So we are getting 1.4. And these are our last two questions. We are dividing decimals still, but in this case, we have decimal points in the divisors. And as we learned, there cannot be any decimal points in our divisors. So to make this number a whole number, I have to shift it once to the right. So the number I'm dividing by is now 5. Once I shift my decimal point once in the divisor, I also have to shift it once in the dividend. So the new numbers I'm dividing is 78.5. And this is very important to note. Then you set up your question, 5 into 78.5, and you work it out. So it's going to be 5 into 7 is 1, 5 ones are 5. Bring with 2, bring down the 8. 5 into 28 is 5. 5 5s are 25. We're going to remember 3. You have a point here, so we put it back. Bring down the 5. You have 5 and 35 is 7. 5 sevens are 35. So we are getting for the first one to be 15.7. And the last one, we also have a decimal point in the divisor. We have to shift it once to make it a whole number. The number we are now dividing by is 7. Once we shift a decimal point in our divisor, we also have to shift it the same number of times in the dividend. In this case, it's 1. So we're getting 98.7. And then you divide 7 into 98.7. 7 into 9 is 1. 7 ones are 7 with a remainder of 2. Bring down the 8. 7 into 28 is 4. 7 fours are 28. Put your point on top. Bring down the 7. 7 into 7 is 1. 7 ones are 7. So we are getting 14.1. So it's very important that you review what you learned in decimals. And yes, there's going to be a part 2 to this video.